Narcissistic suffering. This is a topic I've wanted to actually talk about for some time because it is very near and dear to my heart. And I want to iterate that if you're in a situation where you're being hurt by a narcissistic person, please get out of there as soon as you can, because the chances that a narcissistic person, that their ego is going to get cut through are about 1%. And it's possible, but it's, I've actually done research on that a little bit. It's possible, but it's rare, right? I want to delve into narcissistic suffering. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, it comes back to my last video where I talked about knowing yourself and essentially loving yourself. Because I noticed that there's even with my friends, there is a misconception that self-love makes you inherently narcissistic. To know why this is not true, you have to kind of understand narcissism in itself, right? Now, I am no psychologist. This is just from my own work on myself and from my own experience, and seeing how my father acted, and working on myself. It's brought me a lot of perspective, because I also became a lot like him, but I was able to escape that, because of one key thing, which is, I'll just say, it's your inner voice, like your inner self. I don't know how to better put it. It's like your inner self, right? There's this awareness, right? And at some point, for me, I began wondering, holy shit, I'm a horrible person. What am I doing, right? And that's because I also met a lot of people who showed me that, right? The thing with narcissists is, and I'm pretty sure my father was never diagnosed, and this is often the case with people who are narcissistic. You cannot diagnose them because they're not going to want to get diagnosed, right? But I'm pretty sure my father was 99% sure. So the thing with narcissists is, they don't love themselves. And in fact, I feel like they really hate themselves, right? Because, and the reason why I say this is because, first of all, I'm not in the head of any person like that, right? But the reason I say this is because of the fact that they will always try to control what is outside of them, or seek validation from what is outside of them. At least that's how my father was. Now, I know certain individuals just operate differently. That's like the paradox of narcissism. Some individuals just operate differently. I can't speak for any of y'all experiences, but for me, he always wanted to control everything outside of himself. It was never his fault. He never took accountability for anything. There was this one time, right, where I got a gift for my birthday. He took that gift away from me and added it to his own collection. Like, it's all about himself. And when people say that like as an insult towards narcissistic people, it's not even an insult, it's the truth. It's all about themselves. But it's not in the way you think, because if they don't have attention, control, or over any areas of their life, it starts to give them a lot of anxiety. And that's the thing, it's not like real anxiety, little intermission. It's like I said earlier, it seems to be more about shame rather than any kind of anxiety. Like, they seem to have this like deep internal shame, at least from my father. They will just take control. If they feel attacked, they will take control. They will try to manipulate, psychologically get in your mind. They will do all of that to try and get in your head. This isn't just like when they're there. No, they want you to think about them while you're not even with them, right? So, for example, this isn't my thing, but with my mother, he had to come pick me up from school once, right? So he was at his home and he tried to unspawn point himself by overdosing on pills, right? So, but like, he gave a key to one of his friends deliberately because he knew that friend would come to his house, realize that he's not opening the door, my bad, and she would find him unconscious. He deliberately did that. It's not true love for themselves, They hate themselves as much as they hate everything around them, I feel like. Maybe it's not exactly hate, because they don't see the problem with themselves, right? Maybe it's not exactly hate, but it is something very painful, that's for sure. It comes from a very painful place, and personally, I think it's like something to do in their childhood, more like. Because my father didn't like his father, and his father, he was beating his ass. So, or I'm pretty convinced he was beating his ass. Also, they're like the psychological manipulating, it gets carried down, and it's sort of this like traumatic cycle in which a lot of people get trapped, including me. I was one of those people with this condition, or with condition, who have these traits, who never see the fault in themselves, who always try to control what's outside of them and never learn. They're suffering on their own. They're suffering because everything in their life goes wrong, and they have no core self to lean back on. I mean, their own sense of self is so fragile that any person who remotely makes them insecure, they immediately lash out on or try to control, especially if they seem vulnerable. That's not self-love, that's just, you want control, you want validation. Self-love is accepting things happen, but that you can handle them, right? And that when things happen, you'll be there, and you'll stand up with your fists and be able to be there, you'll be in the moment, you'll be able to be yourself and get through it. You'll make mistakes, but it's gonna be okay. If you make mistakes, you'll learn, That for me is self-love, like, and just all around being kind to yourself. For example, say you do make a mistake, you piss a friend off or something, you're like, damn, I really pissed them off, but I didn't mean to do that, I don't think anyone means to piss off their friends, right? I mean, unless you mean to piss them off, but it's like, seriously piss them off. So then it's like, I didn't mean to do that. But you realize that you hurt the person, and you can you can apologize. And, that's the beautiful thing. You can apologize, you can admit you're wrong. You can really resonate with a person. But narcissists can't do that. Narcissists, they are only capable of thinking of their own needs. That's because, again, from the research I've done anyways, it seems to be that this thing just starts in childhood for them, and for some whatever reason, like you have people like me who make it out somehow, right? But for some reason, they just never make it out, and it doesn't matter how kind other people are to them, because when it comes to narcissistic things, even if you have support, people with narcissism, they can turn that support somehow against you. Like my father would get me to shut up about things that happened in the home, talking to my mother and stuff and everybody else. That's one example, right? Controlling the narrative, basically. And as a child, you don't really realize that, right? Because that's your father, and you love your father unconditionally. I still love my father to this day, but it's like, I don't want to have anything to do with him, because he hurt me, and he's definitely not taking no accountability for it. That goes for anyone in your life that hurts you. You gotta put down the limit and be like, no, this is enough. You're doing too much, right? And I'm not saying you should empathize. Well, I mean, you should empathize. You should always empathize with everything, right? But you should not be like, oh, because he's suffering, right, I'm gonna just be there for him. Because you can't be there for him. He can't even be there for him. They can't even be there for themselves. They don't got no inner voice that's telling them, maybe this is wrong. No. It's not like that. They don't even have an inner voice, I'm convinced. Because their ego is so profound that, like, if their ego gets attacked any minute, their ego is always in hypervigilance, right? Like, even if they're chilling on their own, they always gonna be in some kind of hypervigilance where they, they can't think for themselves. Like, they're trapped in like this sort of survival loop. Maybe linked to their past, maybe linked to their environment, maybe whatever, right? So that's why loving yourself really isn't narcissistic, and especially if you're just very healthy, just very open, Now, the thing is, what makes this so sad is, there's nothing that can be really done. It has to be on their own, right? They have to realize on their own that something they're doing isn't right. And I've done some research on this. It's a rare phenomenon, but it does happen that some narcissists, they encounter something so severe that suddenly their whole worldview flips, and somehow it cuts through to their inner voice, to their inner child, right? Or whatever, and they kind of start thinking for themselves a little more. But I've read that this is very rare, and I don't like going purely off of statistics, so I want to believe in my heart that this is possible. But But all I know is the way they're gonna learn is by teaching them that, that people have boundaries. Like you can't just be. You can't just take and control and manipulate. That's not how that works. It hurts people. It hurts yourself, but it also hurts a lot of people. You destroy relationships. My relationship with my father was completely obliterated. And it doesn't matter how much you might love a person. It's gone. It's over. It's obliterated. But yeah, I think that's all I really wanted to say in this video, to be honest, or show in this video. My explanations were a little bit all over the place. I do really apologize for that, but I had some kind of fun making this video. I'm a little bit awkward, like I don't really know what to say sometimes, so there's like long pauses where I'll just edit stuff out, right? So yeah, we'll see how this video does. You aren't as selfish as you think you are, and it's fine to be selfish. It's fine to have a balance, right? It's fine to be selfish, to be selfless, do what you want, right? But narcissism, self-love, saying you love yourself, that's just what every person deserves. And if you can give that to yourself, that's amazing, right? That's really amazing. But a narcissist can't do that. They don't love themselves. They're trapped in a survival mode.